Throughout history, humans have consistently demonstrated their boundless creativity. This creativity extends into all aspects of life, especially when it comes to sex and sexuality. The diverse expressions of human intimacy across cultures and eras are truly fascinating. If you think things get weird now, with all the modern trends and technologies, just wait until you hear what people were up to thousands of years ago. The ancient world was full of surprises. Today we're diving into some of the strangest, most unusual, most fascinating ancient sex practices from around the world. We'll be exploring rituals, customs, and beliefs that might shock, intrigue, and perhaps even enlighten you. From temple rituals in Mesopotamia, where sacred prostitution was a part of religious life, to wild Roman orgies infamous for their decadence and excess, our ancestors pushed boundaries in ways you won't believe. They challenged social norms and explored the limits of pleasure and taboo. Drop your thoughts below, share your reactions, and let's get into it. Prepare to have your perceptions challenged and your understanding of history expanded. Let's journey back in time, way back to ancient Mesopotamia, a cradle of civilization. Sumer, Babylon, all that. These weren't just places on a map. They were vibrant centers of culture and belief, where the sacred and the sensual intertwined in fascinating ways. Sex wasn't just pleasure. It wasn't relegated to the private sphere or viewed with shame. Instead, it was a sacred act, a profound way to connect with the divine, to tap into the very life force of the universe. In temples dedicated to powerful and revered goddesses like Inanna, the Queen of Heaven, priestesses engaged in ritual sex with strangers, not for personal gratification, but as a deeply symbolic act. This was performed as an offering to bless the city, to ensure its fertility, prosperity, and continued well-being. By joining with a priestess in this sacred context, you were believed to connect directly with the goddess herself, to receive her blessings and partake in her divine energy. These rituals weren't just about individual experiences. They built strong community bonds, fostering a sense of shared purpose and connection. They also reinforced the temple's power and authority, solidifying its role as the center of spiritual and social life. It's wild to think how closely sex and spirituality were linked in these ancient cultures, a perspective so different from many modern views. Now let's jump to ancient Greece. Their symposiums were all male drinking parties, full of wine, music, and yes, sex. Relationships between older men and younger boys, called pederasty, were celebrated as mentorship. The Greeks saw pleasure as a path to enlightenment, blending intellect and desire. The symposium was a microcosm of Greek society, complex, hedonistic, and boundary-pushing. Ancient Egypt took things to another level with royal incest. Pharaohs married siblings, daughters, even mothers, believing their bloodline was divine. Cleopatra married her brother. It was the royal norm. This was about power, religion, and keeping the gods' favor. Of course, it led to some genetic issues, but for them, it was about maintaining a sacred dynasty. Sex was political, religious, and a tool for control. The Romans, often depicted as figures indulging in wild orgies, a perception fueled by both historical accounts and artistic interpretations, and lavish feasts, where food and drink flowed freely, creating an atmosphere of unrestrained revelry. These gatherings were more than just social events. They were spectacles of abundance and extravagance. These weren't just parties, they were elaborate events, carefully orchestrated and steeped in tradition. Often, they were intrinsically tied to religious festivals, honoring the gods with displays of opulence and communal celebration, or marking significant moments in the lives of the elite. These events were primarily the domain of the elite, the wealthy aristocrats who held positions of power and influence within Roman society. Sex, within this context, was often viewed not just as a physical act of pleasure, but as a tool for social maneuvering. It was about status and power, a means of asserting dominance and solidifying one's position within the complex social hierarchy. Who you were seen with and the alliances you forged mattered immensely in the pursuit of social advancement. Most stories that have survived through the ages come from the upper classes, offering a glimpse into their world of privilege and excess. And it's important to remember that some of these accounts are likely exaggerated, embellished over time to create a more sensational narrative. Still, the tales, however embellished, offer a window into the Roman mindset, revealing how much sex and excess were deeply woven into the fabric of Roman society, particularly among the elite echelons. Of course, not everyone lived this way. The lives of ordinary Romans were far removed from the opulence enjoyed by the wealthy. But the legends persist for a reason, capturing a certain truth about the values and priorities of a powerful civilization. Let's bust the myth of the chastity belt. Despite what you've seen in movies, there's almost no evidence they were actually used in medieval times. Most were fakes or jokes from later centuries. The idea of locking up women's sexuality is more fantasy than fact. It's a powerful image, but mostly just a story we tell about the past. In ancient India, the Kama Sutra was more than a sex manual. It's a guide to living well, loving deeply, and finding pleasure in all aspects of life. The text emphasizes mutual pleasure, respect, and connection. Temples were decorated with erotic carvings, and sexuality was seen as a path to spiritual growth. The Kama Sutra encouraged exploration and creativity. Sex and spirituality truly went hand in hand. Ancient China gave us jade dildos. Yes, really. Jade was prized for its beauty and spiritual properties, so using it for pleasure was about health and cosmic energy. These artifacts were found in tombs, used in rituals, and even buried with their owners. Ancient people mixed pleasure with mysticism, showing creativity knows no bounds. Sexuality has always been part of the human experience. There you have it, some of the wildest ancient sex rituals from around the world. Sex has always been about more than the act itself. It's tied to our beliefs and curiosity. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below. Got more rituals we should cover? Let us know. Thanks for watching. Next time, we're diving into the animal kingdom's craziest mating rituals. Don't miss it.